Hello, BookTube. I thought I'd come to you today with a tag. It is Tuesday, and I don't do too many tags these days, but I had no other video that I could do today. I had planned something else, but I'm not quite ready for it. So I thought I'd do a tag. One that I thought I had done. There was one that was similar. It was a reread tag, and that's what this one is. But it's a little different. It's got little shades of difference to it, so I thought I'd do it. But that was probably 2 years ago, maybe, or a year and a half ago at least, that I did the other one. This is called the Deja Vu Book Tag. Do I like rereading? And I've just watched it on CriminOlly's channel, and I thought I'd give it a try. Do you reread, and how often? The answer is yes. And every year I reread. There's a few books that I read every other year. Every Christmas I read Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol. And every other year prior to that, I reread all of M.R. James's ghost stories during October. And I for a long time was reading every year Clifford Simak's City, which that's sort of started back up again. There's a lot of other books that I read. And sometimes it's rereading after decades, 30 years. This year I'm doing a lot. We'll get to that in a little while, I think, in some of the other questions. Question 2, why do you or don't you reread? Well, I do reread, so it's because I like returning to favorite books and rereading things, especially now that I haven't read in a long time. It's an excuse to delve back into them. Like currently, I am rereading. I put it on hiatus at the moment, but I'm halfway rereading Don Quixote by Cervantes, and I read that sometime in the early '80s. I was in my sort of late teens, early 20s. And I don't think I appreciated it at that time. So I am enjoying this reread and remembering bits, but I have forgotten most of it because I don't think I really appreciated the story at the time. And question 3, what have been your favorite books to reread? Oh, there's a lot. Well, City, as I mentioned. The Christmas Carol and M.R. James, like it just goes on. But another series, it's a series of books, Strangers and Brothers by C.P. Snow, and I definitely enjoy rereading that, and that's coming up. I would have read it this year, again, or late last year, but I had too much on my plate, so I'm hoping that will be a reread for next year, all 11 books. And basically, it's books that I liked or that I wasn't too sure about at the time, and to sort of reacquaint myself with stories or authors that I had really liked, but I have let sit for decades and not reread. For instance, Dickens. I plan on rereading there's some of Dickens that I haven't read, but I plan on at some point going through all of his books. And I've started this year with one. I read Bleak House, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a reread. And there's other ones that I will be rereading as well. And number 5, what book do you predict will be so good you'll want to reread it? Trying to think what that would be that I have sort of on the. Oh, actually, I have it's been one of my failings is Russian literature, and this year I was going through and I'm reading sort of big books like at least once a month, but I got a bit ill, so there was 2 months that I didn't read anything, and during those 2 months it was slated Anna Karenina and War and Peace. So I'm expecting one or both of those to be something that I will want to reread eventually. Um, so yeah, I predict those and maybe some other Russian ones that I have planned for later in the year. Number 6, pick a book from your younger years that you think would be interesting to reread. Well, that's a bit of a difficult one. I've read so much, and I am going through some of the stuff, a lot of the science fiction that I'm rereading. Something that I read in my early years. Well, I had slated George Eliot's Middlemarch, so I think that's another one that's going to be like Don Quixote. So I started it, but I only got like 10 pages into it before I got ill again. So that, I'll say, is that's the one that comes to mind at the moment. Number 7, tell us a series or book that's so big or complex that you need to reread to better understand. I don't think there's... Well, I think there's always, on the reread, if it is complex, there's always new things that I see in the rereading, but I don't think it was required. I think it just deepens it. But things like The Strangers and Brothers, I've read it 3 times now, maybe 4. I've lost count, 3 or 4 times. I might not have finished a 4th reread of them all. That's why I might be hesitant for that. But when I've reread Dan Simmons' Hyperion Cycle 3 times, and I've read the actual first 2 books 5 times now. And I always find something new with that. I think it's 5 times, yeah, because I read them first, and then I reread them, and then I reread them. Yeah, so I've and it's the last 2, so I'll be rereading those again, and I planned on reading the last 2 shortly after I read those, but yeah, this will probably be again next year, and I'll most likely reread the first 2 again. And I think anything like that yeah, it's not that I need to, but there's a want there, because every time I do reread something, I do see something a little deeper in it, or if enough time has passed, I see it in a different light because I'm different. I'm older. Number 8. Is there a specific type of genre you think is best or worst for reread potential? Generally, I suppose I would think mysteries, like crime. But saying that, there are a couple that I have read that I like, and that's going to come up in the next one. So I would say, but I don't think there's generally... I think anything can lend to rereading, though. But yeah, sometimes the crime, because if it, unless it's something special with the writing, the finding out about it, the process, it's, you know it, and if you remember it, then it's lost. I wouldn't enjoy it as much, I don't think, the next time, unless it's for other reasons, which we'll get to in the next question here. And the best, I suppose, literature, science fiction. I'm really enjoying doing rereads. I got given by Steve Donahue, or sent a whole bunch of A.E. Van Vogt books, and I've just been devouring those every so often. Like the first week, I I read like about 8 of them, I think, that I got them. And I've slowed down a little bit, but I still want to read more. And I'm thoroughly enjoying those because I've forgotten sort of a lot of the plots, and I'm just... there's a frustration, but as well as an enjoyment in rereading. So science fiction, definitely fabulous rereading. Number 9, is there a book you've liked more upon reread? Yes, there is. The one I was thinking of, like, it's a crime novel. It's The Maltese Falcon. And on my reread of that to do my book to film, it was astounding. I read it in a different ways. Like, there's different areas of the story because I know what's happening, but there's other things in there that just take my imagination on a ride, on a trip, on a journey. And that really, really worked. And that's where, like I say, it was like with a bit of a caveat for the previous question to say, like, mystery is not the best one. It generally isn't, but with something like the Maltese Falcon, that definitely will work. Another one that I'm looking forward to rereading maybe next year, and I don't know why it's taken me so long, is Turn of the Screw by Henry James. Fabulous short novel or novella. That one I'm sure is going to be fabulous on a reread. Is there a book you liked less upon reread? Upon rereading. I can't really think of anything at the moment that has been less good. Like, sometimes it's... yeah, I can't think of anything that has been less good on a reread. I'm sure there might be, but I can't think of anything at the moment. That was 10. Number 11, if you reread, let us know a book you'd like to reread before the end of this year. Well, there's many. I am next month I'm going to be rereading The Three Musketeers, but the new translations by Lawrence Elmsworth, or is it Ellsworth? Ellsworth, I think it is. New translation that he's doing the whole Three Musketeers cycle. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to rereading Count of Monte Cristo, another Alexander Dumas. I'm looking forward to rereading Les Miserables in the new translation. I've not read this new one yet, so with the translating, it's always nice maybe to read a new or different translation, and it can in some ways seem like a new book. So yeah, there's a lot I'm looking for, and I'm looking forward to rereading more Van Vogt, and well, that not before the end of the year, but more Simak rereading eventually. And number 12 is Tag Some Friends, but I have seen a lot of people tagged for this, so I'm not going to tag anybody. But that was an enjoyable tag. And yes, definitely rereading is a pure enjoyment. Even though I have so many books that I haven't read yet, I spend probably 30 to 50% of my reading time in the last probably 5 years rereading. So yes, I'm a heavy rereader, and reread on a few occasions. Anyway, I'll see if I can put the questions down at the bottom. It's always difficult to copy and paste, but I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, take care. I'll see you next time, Book 2.